What's going on, guys? It is a Wednesday night. I'm meteorologist Jonathan Kegges. Thank you a ton for hanging out with me on a Wednesday. We're here every Monday through Friday at 9:30 on News 6 Plus, and of course the News 6 YouTube channel. We hang out, we talk about the Florida weather and hurricane season. We talk about the tropics. Post in the comments where you're tuning in from if you have any questions, of course, on any related topic or unrelated topic that we're touching on. Please post that into the comments and I will do my best to get to them. If not, again, we have a lot of time over the next couple of days to hang out. So I hope you come back. I hope you find this informative, helpful, and just a kind of a cool spot where we can all nerd out if you are a fan of the weather or just want to stay informed in a trustworthy matter. All right, we're taking a live look tonight in Wildwood above my head, getting a little glare there from the light. Also, Delray Beach below me in the Brady Bunch box tonight. Hope everybody is doing well. Elizabeth, always good to see you. Zachary, good to see you. I do have the 18Z fantasy happy hour run of the GFS. We're going to take a look at that. Likely an impossible. It is an impossible scenario. I'll tell you why in just one second. Rip currents are pretty rough out there. We'll break why those rip currents are rough on the Atlantic side especially. But thank you guys a ton for being here. Okay, so Florida forecast, more late night storms coming tomorrow. Tonight, just a couple of showers out there. Otherwise, it is a much quieter evening than what we had last night at this time and the night before last. So finally a little break. We can all get to bed and all that stuff. I love this right here. And then Tropics check-in. CSU, by the way, released their update to their preseason hurricane forecast. So in April, they come up with their initial forecast, and then they'll update it in June at the start of hurricane season. They'll have an update in July, and then I believe this is their final seasonal outlook because, I mean, once you get to August, you're pretty much in the peak of hurricane season. But then they'll do kind of 2-week increments as to if they expect above normal activity or below normal activity. So we'll take a look to see if there's any change in their forecast. And of course, we have some trash to take out, and we have some frauds to call out because, man, I have a big update for you when it comes to those scary model runs. So Limitless Lightning, my friend, you saw the video today on the Just Weather page. You know exactly where I'm going with this. And yeah, we're gonna have some fun in the world of tropics, and then also get a little serious because the steering pattern is I don't like the steering pattern. We need to keep those tropical waves at bay. Starting with the Florida forecast for tomorrow. Look at this, 80s in Tallahassee, 88 in Jacksonville. This is for Thursday, August 7th. Already August 7th. Kids getting ready to go back to school. It's 90 in Pensacola. A lot of blue on the map for a change. It's still obviously hot, but it's below normal. That's why the blue boxes are popping up. Orange indicates where we have above normal temperatures. Now, I want to share the high resolution model for tomorrow, and it's kind of the same deal. Now, a lot of you guys were talking about the rip current risk on the Atlantic side of Florida. And the reason for that is we're now shifting our winds off of the Atlantic. And anytime you have a perpendicular wind into the shoreline, it's going to help to get those rip currents going a little bit more. And you see that right here getting into tomorrow. I realize I don't have my banner on here to know what time it is. This is going to be about 6 or 7 o'clock tomorrow, though, because I've looked at this model. I don't know why I deleted it. We'll get that back. But notice where we have those white lines. Storms are going to try to fire along I-95. And then the most widespread stuff late tomorrow afternoon and sometimes lingering late into the evening is going to be closer to I-75 in the Gulf Coast. So we're getting back into that pattern. And I think for the weekend, the theme is going to be the Atlantic beaches on the drier side, the Gulf beaches through I-75 on the wetter side. And part of the reason for that is this itty-bitty tropical wave, and you see those flare up even more. This trough of low pressure, this tropical wave here, it's near the Bahamas. It's not going to do anything to us except for help to drag some tropical moisture across the state of Florida and help to get the storm motion going from the I-95 corridor and then force everything to the west. It may have an itty-bitty, teeny-tiny shot to do something once it gets into the northeast Gulf Coast. But for us, along the Florida Peninsula, really just enhancing rain chances and thunderstorm chances. and then maybe some extra rain for the Florida Panhandle as we get into Sunday, into Monday. So that's something I'm watching for the state of Florida. Again, if you're new here, we do talk about all of the weather throughout the state of Florida because there's a lot of people from Florida and really across the Southeast that tune in. What's going on, Susan? Andy, how's it going, my friend? The hype man is here. I love it. Thanks for finding us over here. I hope you get your pins out tomorrow. I will be praying, Melissa. I hope everything goes well. All right, I'm going to take an early break tonight because when we come back, we have so much to dissect on the Tropics. Of course, Colorado State's fresh update on what they believe is going to happen for the rest of the season. I'm going to give you my take on the second week of August, which if there's a time frame over the next 2 to 3 weeks to watch, it's going to be right smack dab in the middle of the month. We will talk about that and take out some trash in just a minute. All those hypey people, all those fear mongers, they got some splaining to do, and I'm going to show you why in 3 minutes. All right, we are going to get right back into it, guys, with the tropical section. I took the break early so that we have a lot more time to break this down because there's a lot going on, but really there's not a lot going on. So it's more about getting into the nitty gritty here and dissecting. So if you don't mind, we're going to get a little nerdy. I want to show you some cool charts that I think tell the story of what's going on in the Atlantic. I first want to talk about this. Hot off the press today, as what happens early in August, and NOAA and the National Hurricane Center will update their forecast a little bit later on in the month. But the 2025 hurricane season outlook re-released today. 16 named storms, 8 of them becoming hurricanes, 3 of those becoming major. That was Colorado State's update. Again, they're one of the most respected seasonal forecast entities, even though they're landlocked in Colorado. Their April forecast, just to give you a refresher, was 17 named storms, 9 of them hurricanes, 4 of those becoming major. So it's a tick down, but they have been at 16, 8, and 3. Certainly in July, and I believe they had those numbers still in June. Maybe they were still the same as April, but certainly in July, they were 16, 8, and 3. So there's no change from last month's forecast. And then, of course, to date, we have had 4 named storms. All of them have been short lived. One of them, only one, was in a tropical, born of tropical origins, and that was Barry. Way back, that was the one that went through. It was a weak storm, but it came from the tropics. The other 3 were subtropical in nature, and that is something that we expected before the season because of the warmth relative to normal being in the subtropics. So that is important to note, that the biggest warmth, the sea surface temperature anomalies being in the subtropics, is really what's helping to fuel those kind of weird looking, short-lived, non-tropical origin systems that we have out there. I want to show you this, then we're going to get into some models. This is what's going on, and you're going to notice a couple of things here, okay? That orange drawing, that oval polygon looking thing, these are drawn by the Hurricane Center, and in that area is where tropical development's possible. Notice that it's not pointed anywhere near Florida or really the United States. 60% shot for development. It's all tied up with a cluster of thunderstorms in the intertropical convergence zone, as it's called. But it's not coming here. It's not going to the Caribbean. We talked about that the GFS was likely missing a dip in the jet stream to weaken the ridge and take its escape route. And that's one of the things, as I go on soapbox number 1, that these YouTube channels and social media sites, that I'm telling you, they get money off of people sharing their stuff. Okay, they get money for their clicks and shares and things, and there's no accountability there. So everybody is taking the L on this. We here, we're right. Everybody in this chat, we broke this down the middle of last week when those crazy runs started coming out. We talked about this, that you have to use the sound science and meteorology. We did that. Okay, so now I want to show you some computer forecast and kind of show you now that everything is on board with taking this out. So this is the wave right here. All of these different L's. This is the ensemble data. Different initial conditions are put into each member. When you get a bunch of L's to pop up, that means there's a consensus that we're going to get something to develop. And when they're tightly packed, that means there's higher confidence of the track of the storm. So there is the tropical wave Invest 96L officially. So we should get our actual spaghetti models pretty soon. That was tagged earlier today. So with the evening run, we should get our first go of things. But you see it here. Look at this. Euro always had it out to sea. Not even coming close. Okay? Not even close. This is the crazy thing. And this is what you can always, let me back up. Whenever you see the GFS doing something crazy, which it is tonight, and I'm going to show you that, always look at the ensembles, because even when the GFS had major hurricanes like in here with Invest 96L, that wave that I just showed you, most of its ensemble members were still out at sea. So until that was kind of like dead giveaway number 1, that we weren't going to get this thing close to land. So be mindful of that. Before you share, before you post, it's kind of like when you're crossing the street, look both ways. Think about it for a second. Look at the GFS ensembles and see what the heck it has. And you see it there. Everything is out at sea. Nothing is coming close. Okay. Now, interesting thing, and something we're going to watch, there's a couple of things that are joining the party late. We do have this little wave closer to Trinidad and Tobago. Models are trying to bite on that a little bit more room. And into the thing that's the YouTube thing. I've lost the thing. If there's anything, and again, looking at the science of meteorology, we don't windshield wiper effect with the model run. You look at the pattern. The pattern here, and it kind of shows it, all this peachy color is the pressure. And there's a lot of high pressure. So right after this little break in those two high pressure systems, allowing for 96L to escape, we do have the next wave being suppressed. There's more to this story, though, and I'm going to get to that in 1 second. I just want to be clear, the Atlantic isn't super favorable, even for this next wave. I'm going to show you why in a second. But I just want to get you to the European ensembles. They are also a little bullish on this thing. At least there's nothing too terribly strong coming to the Northeast Caribbean, but getting it out in this direction, okay? And that's, by the way, maybe as early as the 14th or 15th in the Northeast Caribbean, and the 15th to the 20th if we're going to get anything to develop. There's a major question, though. Can it develop? Can it support it? And here's the reason. Everyone is just sharing models, but okay, do you guys know the meme of I forget what it's called, but it's the boyfriend with his girlfriend, and he sees the other girl, and he's now lost interest in the one girl, and then turns around and looks at the other one that's passing him by. This is what the models are doing with these waves. They come off, they disintegrate, they don't develop as the model shows, and it's like, ooh, next wave. And really, that's what the YouTubers are doing with these waves that continue to come off. It's like, all right, this one isn't developing and not going to impact land. Next wave, there it is. This one's coming in. There it is, guys. This just got worse. And all that stuff. We got a problem here. Well, we don't. The storms do. So this chart here represents tropical Atlantic vertical stability. What we're looking at here, let me get my telestration off. That black line represents the average instability. The blue line is where we are. So down in here, these dots are the daily numbers. So we are like right in here now as of today. Look at that. We are way below average in terms of instability. Storms need instability to grow, and that's going to be the difference in temperature between areas near the surface and then areas aloft. There's just not a ton out there. Now, I didn't bring the other charts in because it would bore you, but to bore you too much, take my word for it, though, that it is more unstable because the water is warmer closer to land. And that is what we have to watch. And that is what we said early in the season, that it did not look like the main development region was going to be that supportive for those long track storms, say like an Irma that got, or an Ivan that got strong out there and then stayed strong. It would be more of, okay, it looks kind of crummy, it looks kind of weak, and then it gets near the Greater Antilles, the Bahamas, the Gulf, southeast corner of the U.S., and then it finds a much better environment, and then it perks up quick. So that's what we're going to have to watch with that next trailing wave. Things are a little better, but again, I think it's going to struggle getting into the main development region. The deal is, the steering currents look like it's going to get pretty far west, and the environment is better closer to home, unfortunately. I showed this last night. Every Tuesday, the Climate Prediction Center does highlight their long-range forecast. This is for week 2, August 13th and August 19th, and lo and behold, there's a red little bullseye there for a greater than 40% shot for tropical development, August 13th to August 19th, which would put it in the window. All of this to say is there's more to the story than just model runs, okay? You have to connect the dots a little bit like we just did. So and there's a lot of extra deeper stuff that we need to do in terms of we were putting an actual forecast together, but we've at least, okay, The wave might struggle in the main development region. Okay, we have a lot of dry, dusty air out there. We just saw the stability charts. Those are pretty stable. Look at all that brown out there. That's 96L, by the way. So it's blossoming, trying to, but there's still a lot of dry, dusty air around. So that's what that's what I'm thinking right now, that we're going to have to watch that wave. I don't like how the steering currents are oriented because it would force things further west. The wave may struggle for a lot of its life next week in the main development region, but then pending interaction with land, we're going to have to watch it. And when I say we, I mean people, not particularly Florida, because there would be a large area in the northern Caribbean or southern US that may have to watch this. And then I do think the Atlantic goes quiet until the end of September. So I personally think we just have to do a little dodging here. And if we can do that, we might have a couple weeks off before kind of a backloaded deal. All right, I went over my time already. Coming back, I'm going to show you that crazy run of the GFS just to laugh and talk about why it's not going to happen. And then I'm going to go through the comments and try to find some of the stuff you put in because I've just been rambling. But that is why. I just wanted to talk about that and to kind of give you the lowdown on what's going on. I'll see you guys in about 3 minutes. Alrighty, guys, I have about 2 minutes for questions here. If Sahara dust is the norm, why are seasons more active? Great question. The Saharan dust, it's kind of inverse. It's kind of prolific in June and July when the hurricane season is relatively quiet. That's partially the reason why. And then climatologically speaking, it backs off as we get in deeper into August, September, and October. And that's why the hurricane season, it's partially related anyway, why we see the uptick in activity. There's not as much of that dry, dusty hot, stable air out there to really hurt things. Okay, so here it is. This is the wild and not gonna happen, but you're gonna see it everywhere. Double Hurricane 18Z GFS. Okay, we're laughing at this. This is gonna be impossible. Okay, we got that here. We got that here. At this point, they would be close enough to do something known as the Fujiwara, where one of these would become dominant, okay? And they would kind of dance around each other. So counterclockwise flow around the hurricane, it would be doing something like this. That would likely force that guy back up, and then this would force back down to the Yucatan Peninsula. Again, this is not going to happen. This is how many hours out? Holy cow. Okay, this is 384 hours out. This is August 22nd. All over social media. People are going to go viral over this because they're going to be like, we have 2 hurricanes coming to the United States. This gets the trash. We're taking this to the garbage. Don't fall for this when you see it on social media. The GFS is just going weird, being weird. It's trying to figure things out. It's like a teenager. He's trying to figure things out right now and doesn't know what to do. Again, I think there's a decent probability that there is something coming west that don't know where exactly. And we're not going to go nowhere until we have a well-defined center to track in the main development region. And that's going to take quite some time because there's a lot of dry, dusty air out there. There's a lot of thunderstorms to compete for a dominant center. Your rain chances tomorrow, Melissa, aren't that high. Alrighty, guys, I have to run. Keep posting in the comments. I appreciate that. If you are new here, if this is a first-time watcher, let me know. I really appreciate you hanging out with me every night, 9:30, Monday through Friday. I'll see you back here tomorrow at 9:30. And, of course, I'm up in 2 minutes to talk about the Central Florida forecast on the News 6 YouTube page. And if you're on News 6 Plus, just keep it parked right there. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. And then, of course, on cable, streaming, all that stuff coming up at 11 o'clock. Missed a lot, my friend Storm Chaser Braden. I don't have a second to recap because I have to be on to the 10 o'clock show, so I have to run. But as soon as this live stream ends, you can go back and look. And about 7 minutes in, we get to the tropics, and I think there's a lot of good stuff. Give it a thumbs up if you didn't. Consider coming back tomorrow. I'll see you guys then. Appreciate you all. Be safe. Have a great evening.